let's talk about lifestyle trading. So let me throw the question out there to you folks. What do you think a lifestyle trader or trading involves? What does it mean to you? Just pose a question. What does lifestyle trading mean to you? I think it's an important question to consider. I think what it doesn't mean for me is sitting on a beach. I'm not going to blow wind in anyone's sail and say, oh, you can do this from 5 minutes a day sitting on a beach. Yeah, Glenn's saying trading for a living. That's great. Yeah, trading for a living, a lifestyle. It's not, as Ezekiel said, it's not a job. Because what we don't want to do, we don't want to create another full-time job. Because what's the point? We don't want to do that. So for me, lifestyle trading is not going to be sitting in front of a computer. I certainly don't want another high pressure environment because trading, it can be stressful enough all on its own. Again, Stephen's talking about having have a trading and life balance. That's absolutely right. So that's really where we're going with this. That's a good, yeah, obviously Anthony wants it all. But what we don't want is a new high pressure environment. I don't want to always be looking at the chart, flicking through chart after chart after chart. I don't want to be checking in with the markets either. You know, like the white rabbit who's always late, always missing things. You know, again, it just creates that high pressure, high blood pressure environment, which is long term, it's bad for your health. I've done this and it's not healthy. And neither do we want dozens of monitors that would probably embarrass NASA. You know, we don't want that. We don't want that situation. Awesome. I'm just catching up with the comments. If you just pop the chat comments instead of the questions, if you pop them in the chat box, because I don't always see them in the Q&A box. So just pop any comments you got in the chat box. That would be awesome. So again, what I don't want is, again, enough monitors to embarrass NASA. You know, it's not necessary. Again, I've had the multi-monitor rig and I know people that still have them. If, in fairness, if that's your idea of a good trading environment, I'm not saying no to it. It's just not for me. So part of this is figuring out what you want from trading. And James has put in a good comment there, having some additional security without giving up too much time. Yeah, so these are all objectives. So that's going to give, that would be part of your trading lifestyle, James. And again, we're going to comment on this later. But this is what we don't want. We don't want to create that high pressure environment. So again, as we've already posed, what's your idea of lifestyle? That's really what it comes down to, because everyone's idea of a trading lifestyle or just life in general, not necessarily a trading lifestyle, but everyone's got their own idea. I mean, I really like spending part of my day reading a book in a coffee shop. I really enjoy doing that. That's my idea of a morning well spent. Every morning, that's what I go to the gym. I obviously get washed, changed. I go to a coffee shop and I read a book. And that is a wonderful way to spend my morning. I love doing that. And I've done it for decades even. It's a part of my regular routine. Now, that's my idea of a good time. It might not be your idea of a good time. So when we're thinking about trading lifestyle, we need to think about, what do you want? And what we shouldn't do is confuse all the monitors and the checking in with the charts and the flicking through. We shouldn't confuse any of that with passion, because I'm absolutely passionate about the market and helping people see success. But what I'm not interested in is being a chart zombie, because I don't want to flick through chart after chart and spend hours doing it. Again, we've all been there. We've all done it. I've done it. But when you catch yourself doing it, we want to rein that back. Now, you can be passionate about the markets, but without being an aimless chart zombie. You know, Mongo likes the squiggles on the charts. It's very easy to fall into that trap, especially when you're brand new and it's all new and exciting and you're trying to figure it out. So what you want to do is separate the learning of how to trade from actually trading. The actual activity of trading is very, very minimal. So what we don't want to confuse the activity of trading with, it shouldn't be high frequency Nintendo-like trading. We don't need the fast action. We don't need it frolicking. We don't need to be bobbing and weaving, dancing like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. It shouldn't be like the opening scenes to a movie where there's explosions in the background and you're walking slowly towards the camera. It's not high intensity. It's not like the 70s where there's hundreds of people, if not thousands of people in a trading pit. It's not like that anymore. It's very boring. It's very mundane. It's very click the button, click, click, and your trade's on. And then what I'd like to do is just kind of walk away and forget about it. But we don't want that intensity. It's not a sport. It's not a hobby where the faster our pulse is racing, then the better the activity is. It's not like sports. It shouldn't be like that. Now, the reality of what trading is, let alone a trading lifestyle, the reality is a harsh mistress. The novice trader often never makes the transition from being a learning novice trader to making trading work. And again, that is a harsh reality for a lot of people. But the trick of it is recognizing where you are on the spectrum. And most people, and certainly having helped literally thousands of traders become successful over the years, most traders who don't make it, they stop right before they figure it out. And a big part of figuring it out is this lifestyle element. And knowing what you want from trading is probably the most important part of trading. And a good example of lifestyle type trading is, think about the time that you have to trade. Again, a good example is that, like, if you don't have time to day trade, then why are you trying to day trade? It's a very obvious conclusion to make, but so many people follow a trader that may be an awesome day trader. I can day trade. I did it for 12 years exclusively, but at the same time, it's intensive and it's not for everyone. And if you've not got the time to do it, then why are you trying to do it? Why are you trying to fit a square peg in a round hole? And that's what I mean by thinking about what you want from trading. And a lot of the time, you need to think about the end in mind. And this is where we should always start with this. So the end in mind, we want to think about that first. Fast forward yourself. Imagine for a moment that you're already successfully trading and you figured it out. Don't worry about the how you're trading for them. Just imagine from it that you figured it out. What does it look like for you? Because I can guarantee that it doesn't involve spending 12 hours a day doing it. And again, I've already mentioned the obvious example. If you're thinking about day trading is the route to success for trading and you don't have time to do it, then those two things aren't congruent with each other. Now, I know this is obvious and you're all smart people and you get this. I get that. I've spoken to many of you individually. So I know that you get this, but it's just important to have a reminder that the reality of trading is very different. And it is also very different for everyone. Again, I'm not saying that day trading doesn't work. Again, just to stick with that same example, it's just that it might not work for you in your situation. Again, for me personally, I don't want to do it. And when I do it, I have the choice to do it. I want to spend the absolute minimal time doing it. So what's your idea of a good lifestyle? How do you imagine your trading lifestyle? Again, I've given you some example of mine. What does it look like when you've made it? Again, not the strategy. What's the lifestyle that training has given you? What does that look like for you? It shouldn't involve the 12-hour day, all day, every day, and then some extra. You should be having more family time, less 9 to 5ing or 9 to 5ing, depending on where you are in the world. You want more time freedom. For me, I want to have significantly less screen time, but I still want all the benefits of trading. So time freedom is high on my priority list. I mean, I've got very used to being able to do what I want, when I want, whenever I want. Now, a little bit of a sob story moment just to kind of illustrate this. Like, for me personally, like I stumbled across the lifestyle elements. I was kind of forced into it. For those of you who don't know, I've got Crohn's disease. And I'm not looking for a boohoo, poor you, pat on the head and off you go. I'm mentioning it intentionally for a reason, because I had a priest stand over me and give me the last rites. And like, that's how ill it was. It was like, today's your last day on planet Earth, son. Goodbye. And for me personally, it was a real reality check. So I'm not suggesting that you should have your own near-death experience to get your shit together. But when I was in my recovery phase, I still had bills to pay, just like everyone else. I was locked in for 3 years. I couldn't go anywhere. For anyone who knows anything about the condition, it can be very, very serious. In my case, I was housebound about 80% of the time for about 2.5 to 3 years. But what I had to do in my case, I get tired very easily. So even today, if I wanted to work 12 hours a day, I couldn't work 12 hours a day. I have to break everything that I do up into bite-sized chunks. So although I've got the luxury of doing whatever I want to do, I can't always work in the same way that everyone wants to, and particularly early on in my own career. So I figured out that if I give myself an hour, I've got an hour in the day, and it needs to be a good hour. I need to get as much done in that 1 hour every day, and then I can be about my other things. And it turns out that while my situation was forced on me, it's a really good way to think about how you can start to think about your lifestyle. So what I want you to take away is not the fact that, Phil had a very weird situation that most people will never, and I would never wish this on my worst enemy. You don't want a near-death experience. But what you should think about, what I learned from this, looking back with many years' benefit of hindsight, is that I had to compress everything that I had to do from a business and work and income point of view into an hour a day. So that's why I teach an hour a day. If you can, I know it can be done because I've done it. I did it for many years. If you give yourself a time-based objective to get something done, whatever that something is, you're going to start to see measurable improvements, because you're not going to waste time flicking through chart after chart after chart, being a zombie, looking for all those things that are not really there, and falling into that new trader pitfall of just being a zombie at the computer. So what's your idea of a lifestyle? Again, I'm trying to give you ideas. So this is more of a, not necessarily abstract, but I can only tell you about my lifestyle, my idea of a lifestyle. So for me, my idea of a lifestyle is I've got time restrictions, like physically, like intentionally these days, I've got time restrictions. But early on in my own career, I had a physical health related, like I've got an hour. I don't know which hour in the day I'm going to be good. So I need to get stuff done. I can't traditionally hustle or grind in the traditional sense. One of my other businesses that I'm involved in, that I'm a founder of, is called Unhustled. And it takes this philosophy to a different level where we can apply it not just to trading, but to business and life and health in general. So give yourself time restrictions. And what's going to happen is that you magically become super productive. And again, I appreciate there's a little bit more to it than that, but when you give yourself those restrictions, you stop thinking about what's a filler task. Why am I wasting time flicking through charts and other bullshits? Like how can I zero in on the best opportunities every day? I use a strategy that I refer to as a production line trading. I want to go step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, put the trade on. That's what I want. And at every juncture, I should just be able to log in and go, here's the 5 trades I need to look at today. Is it today? No. Right, go and do something else. That's what I should be able to do. And that's what, when you think about the lifestyle of the trading and give yourself those time compression and time restrictions, then you start to be able to have all the benefits of the trading elements. And then you can start having the life around it. So I want to be done in minimal time. I still want to get the maximum results. I have a production line, and all that means is that's my way of describing. I've got very rule defined ways of looking at things. And some of these workshops that we do every week, to try and help you look at that. So although we're looking at, the discretionary end of the analysis, what we actually touched on today earlier on is the very mechanical way of evaluating, is there a trading opportunity? We spoke about phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 trends from a mechanical point of view. And that's a very simple way to look at how price interacts with moving averages. It's either in a phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3 trend. It either is or isn't. There's no discretion involved. Now, if I want to add discretion, which is what we do every week, then I can do that. I've got more than 20 years looking at the charts. So I get the chance to do that, but it's not necessary. If I don't have time to do the discretionary elements, I can just very simply say, yeah, this is in a phase 3 trend, wait for the retracement, buy the dip. Like with Apple, that was in a a very classic retracement setup. But some of the other stocks, while trending, were in a resting phase, a phase 2 trend. So I can mechanically make these evaluations, and that's what a production line should do. So if you've not developed your own strategy yet, or you're on the road to developing it, start thinking about, how can I mechanize? How can I rule define? How can I define everything that I'm doing so that I create a production line? And the best way of thinking about it is as a production line. Step 1, what are the rules? Step 2, what are the rules? And just because you're looking at something to trade doesn't mean that you should trade it. Think of the production line like you're looking for reasons not to trade things as much as reasons to trade things. So if there's a rule that like suddenly, or if step 2 suddenly stops rather being relevant, then flick it off the production line. You don't need to waste time trying to force a trade. And I think that's sometimes a trap that a lot of novice traders occasionally fall into, because you're looking at something, a chart. Just because you're looking at Apple, for example, it doesn't mean that I should trade Apple today. I looked at Apple, I'm waiting for my entry. It's not today. I can come back tomorrow. I can come back next week and see if it's tomorrow or next week. But what we saw earlier, I know what I'm waiting for, because I've got these rules. I'm waiting for that situation. We went through it earlier. I'm waiting for a very specific condition to be met. Then I'm going to put the trade on, and it's not today. So that it can be very, very quick to make evaluations when you've got a very defined rule set as a part of your trading routine. And that allows me then to have the lifestyle to be a dickhead and wear stupid hats and use these stupid filters. I like the occasional piece of cake, maybe more than an occasional piece of cake. But the one thing that I do is I spend a good portion of my time relaxing and enjoying. I want a stress-free life. I don't want to relapse. I've got Crohn's disease, as I mentioned. It can be a very serious condition. Thankfully, I've not had any major attacks. I've had some closes, some near misses over the years. But part of what I want is a stress-free life. And that is my idea of a trading lifestyle. So start with the end in mind. And again, we'll wrap it up right here. I think that's a good place to finish. Start with the end in mind. Again, you know what my idea of a trading lifestyle is. And a small part of that is having rule-defined trading strategy. But the larger part of it is, how do you want to live your life? And not just from a trading point of view. I mean, you could be thinking about it from a business point of view as well. I mean, one of my business partners, Sean, he has he's got multiple businesses. So having this same production line trading experience in his life means that he can focus on his other entrepreneurial activities and the several other businesses that he's involved with. But he's not missing out on looking after his 401ks, his IRAs, his more active trading portfolio. You can do all of that at a glance in 20 minutes a day and then go and do something else. And if you can't check in today, that's okay. That's the flexibility that having a production line process and then thinking about the lifestyle and your daily routine first and trading second allows you. And that's what I mean by trading lifestyle. Again, you know what my idea is like, but what does it mean to you? That's all we want to kind of finish off with. So that's it. That's where I'm at today. That's the trading lifestyle. What does it mean to you?